guys? Welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about Excalibur Exalted Blade build that I have for him. Now, there's a lot of people that be giving me messages in the game wondering how to build Excalibur's Exalted Blade. Now, before we get into the whole mechanics or whatnot, we gotta go down to the bare bones and the basics when it comes to Exalted Blade as a whole. Now, as you can see, you gotta know the stuff that comes with them. It has blind duration, the range of it, the damage, and energy per second because it has a drain. Summons a sword of pure light and immense power. But also comes along with that is that Excalibur has a passive where he deals increased damage and attacks faster when wielding swords. Now, what do you mean by wielding swords? This includes a regular two-handed sword, dual sword, rapier weapons. What I mean by that is you have the Nikana, you also have Dex Docker, which is dual sword, Tomo Dakra, any weapons that has a sword in of its category that he wields with two hands, or the rapier weapon as far as the Destreza and whatnot. But as far as overall which weapon to use on Excalibur more is the Nikana. And the reason for that is because when you have the Exalted Blade and you whip it out, at times you will see him parry. He will auto parry. And the thing about it is, what I like about him is that he blocks a lot of incoming bullets. Now, as far as with the Nikana, it blocks 85%. The Dex Dakra, the dual sword, it blocks 65%, and the Destreza blocks 35%. So for overall play, the Nikana is the best when it comes to using Excalibur. Now, as far as modding him, and as far as when Excalibur Exalted Blade build, I tend to go this route right here. I got Steel Charge in there, Power Drift in the Exilus, Vitality and Steel Fiber to boost his armor value. I also have Stretch on so I can get off the blind and at the same time use Exalted Blade to take out enemies that are blinded. Intensify and Transient Fortitude for power strength. Prime Continuity for the duration on the blind. Prime Flow for our high energy. And I got Streamline in there for the efficiency. This build works for me only because everything synergizes really well. And once I get the blind off, all I gotta do is whip out my Exalted Blade and go to work on the guys. Now I'm gonna whip out a couple of guys just to give you guys an example as to how Exalted Blade with the Nikana work. And I'll get into the Nikana a bit as to why I chose it, not just because of the weapon, but the mods that I put on it and why it synergizes with Exalted Blade so well. Now let me see. We'll just throw a couple guys out here just to give you guys a little bit of a taste of how awesome Exalted Blade is, and I'll get into Exalted Blade a little bit more as well. Blind them enemies. Do some finisher damage on them right there, and everything's dead already. I only got a couple of them guys, but they're already dead. So as you can see right there, Exalted Blade cleans them up really nice. Now there's another pair of enemies on the Corpus side, which is like, you could pretty much say they're like cancer. And some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Few of you guys don't know. But there's a unit in here called Bursas, and Bursas are just, they will just flat out wreck you if you don't watch it, man. So let me get a couple of these Bursas out here. And like I said, Exalted Blade, once you get the blind off, it's just a matter of you just swiping, killing them. Now once you get the blind off, just go to town on them. As you can see right there, they're all dead. Now you must be wondering how am I killing these dudes so fast? And it's not just because I have so much power strength on my Exalted Blade, but the weapon itself, the mods that I put on it as to what makes it triggering off so fast. Now let's go into my Nikana build right here. I believe I made a video about Nikana Prime already, but I'm going into more depth as to why I'm using Nikana with my Exalted Blade with my Excalibur. Now I got Blind Justice on, True Steel and Organ Shatter for crit chance and the crit damage, because what you were seeing there is it was critting so much, you just see crazy numbers go off. Berserker. The reason why this mod is so important on the Nikana, especially since you're using Exalted Blade, is that since the Exalted wave of the Exalted Blade pierce enemies, if it doesn't crit on one, it may crit on the other one since they're behind each other, so it's gonna crit that way. Once you get that off, it will just trigger on the Berserker and the speed will keep increasing. That's why you see my waves keeps going faster and faster when I keep swiping away at the enemies. Prime Pressure Point for the base damage, Vergen Surge, and Volcanic Edge, so I can get that gas off. The gas proc in this game, once it procs, it has a 5-meter range when it procs gas, and everything within the radius will get hit with a toxin proc. It will deal damage to them over time. I got Buzzkill in there. Buzzkill is in there because, again, with the slash, and we all know slash procs and the damage over time it does is flat out awesome. It's really good to taking down those heavy units. I got Drifting Contact on there as well, not just because of the combo duration, but for the status chance. I want the status to be at 52 or at least 50%. If you could get your status to 50, which is fine, because you want it to proc the slash, but more cases than not, you want to proc that gas, and that's why the gas is in there, so I could be able to take out those units. Now let's go as far as with Exalted Blade. As I said, with the build that I have here, 200% power strength is gonna be more than enough to take out even the hardest of units, like I said before. But at the same time, it scales, and not only that, when enemies start shooting at you, you will start to block. Now, let me see if I could go to my other section with my Excalibur when it comes to... Let me see if I can actually get to his ass. Okay. Now I got with this one. This one I have an arcane setup on him. So technically when I parry... Where is it? It will increase my speed as far as me slashing all over the place. So let me see if I can get a couple units to just shoot at me for a bit. Hopefully I could last it. Thanks to though I don't last it, then I die. But when you parry, it will trigger, and then you will start to keep slashing like mad. I'm talking like crazy before even Berserker gets a chance to kick in. So let me see if I can get these guys in here. All right. I'm just gonna parry for a bit. As you can see, my Phantasm already kicked in right there. As you can see right there, if you could proc the Phantasm, the Strike, and the Berserker, you will start slashing like crazy. You just keep going like this like crazy, because I got the arcanes to go on him. This is another way you could build for Exalted Blade. You could just keep slashing away like this like crazy. And since I had Berserker triggered with the Phantasm, with the Arcane Strike, it is downright insane how much, not only the damage, but the DPS, how much damage I was able to do on them in a matter of seconds. So it's like, it really doesn't matter what unit you're really going up against as far as with Corpus, Grenier. It really doesn't matter in the end, because once you get the blind off, and this is why when I use Excalibur, Radial Blind was like his it's not even his ultimate, but it's his best ability, because not only do you get the blind off, but since the enemies will be blinded, they can't see, all that stuff will come into play. And when that comes into play, now you could just go right behind them, and when you go behind them, get behind their line of sight, it counts as a stealth. So when you do that, it's like, oh man, all you gotta do is finish them off. So now I just unleashed like, let me see, 10 of these guys. So what I'm gonna do is go behind them. Oh yeah, they're about to start shooting from behind. See, he's already dead. And see those guys back there, they're blinded as well too. Do finisher on them as well. See, they're already dead from the count. Some of them, they were stuck in stasis while I was doing a finisher on them. So not only can you just keep slashing away at them, but again, when you do a finisher on them with Exalted Blade out, it does so much damage. And this is where my second build will come into play, because I have 2 builds for him. Now, let me see, go to the second build. Now, this is the second build right here. This is no different than the first one. The first one was more of an Exalted thing. This one is more for like doing the finisher on them. And since you have Exalted Blade out, it already does a lot of damage as it is. Having Radiant Finish is good, even though it's not necessary, like I said. But having 300% more finisher damage, is really good. Now I'm going to go with this build right here, and I'm going to just bring out probably 1 Corrupted Bombard, just to show you guys how strong having an extra 300% more on top of Exalted Blade. Because again, you're talking about more finisher damage on top of what you have already. So you see, blind his ass. See, it's already dead. I mean, look, my Jin barely survived that shot with 8 points of health left. But as you can see, just get the blind off, do a finisher on him with Exalted Blade out. They're toast. Level 145 Bombard down in 1 finisher. Now, like I said, it can be done without it. So, I mean, I could just take that off and do the same result here. I mean, I may be wrong. Maybe they probably tweak the Exalted Blade as far as with the finisher. So, let me just put that same dude out there. Get the blind off. Yep, see? Same result. Same result. Level 145, gone just like that. So it really doesn't matter. You can have it on, like I said, you can still have Radiant Finish on, but it's not needed. So again, you could tweak with this slot any way you so choose. It's fine. I still have Steel Fiber on him, so I could get more armor out of him. As far as with Excalibur, but this is a slot that you could do practically whatever you want to do with it. I mean, it's only with 9 capacity. You could just probably put like a Rage on there. But anytime I like using Rage, I like to go with the whole Rage quick thinking type of thing. But again, this can't fit in there. As you can see, I have to form his ass one more time, but I'm not going to do it. Because what I could do with this build, I could do this. Put in a regular flow on, so I could have the capacity, and then just put in quick thinking like that, because 300 is still enough for him anyway, and at the same time Rage with quick thinking works in conjunction with each other. So this build, it still works. And when you look at it as far as with the armor, his armor is still fine. And if you want to, you could get the arcane that gives you more armor when you take damage. As far as with this one right here, I put it on this sign down just because. You know, on damage, 20% chance for 60% armor. So it's not like you're losing anything. You're just adding 60% more armor once you put it on with him right here. So as far as with Excalibur and Exalted Blade, when it first came out, It was one of the more popular ultimates to use in the game. Everyone was using it, had their own little builds. They were doing a whole bunch of damage. Then it got tweaked. But again, it's still one of the strongest ultimates we have in this game. And as far as you finishing enemies off, it still has the power to take them out. As you can see right there, it still has the power. So it's not like the power fell off. The power has always been there. It's just that the waves, they tend to have fall off damage. So it's better to be up close with them and personal anyway. So that's pretty much my build as far as with Excalibur, using his Exalted Blade and using his other abilities in conjunction with them, because like I said, Radio Blind is still his go-to move in this game. It has never changed, has never tweaked ever since he came out. Radio Blind has always been the staple CC when it comes to Excalibur, and it has never changed. It's still there. Every other ability has been tweaked except for Radio Blind. So that just shows you that Radio Blind is still the end all be all in the end, because when you got enemies attacking you and you want them to stop, just blind them. They can't see, go behind them, finish them. That's it. That's all it is. That's all